Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, 2023 has been a pretty crazy year with Magic. I mean, we've got an absurd amount of cards again, an absurd amount of commanders again. And it's kind of just nice to just stop. Just take a moment and look back and say, okay, where have we been? What's worked this year? And what commanders have made the biggest splash, the biggest impact this year? Which are the most popular commanders from this year so far in 2023? So let's take a look back and just, see what the top 10 are. So let's start things off at number 10. And coming in 10th place at 4,060 cards to its name, we've got cards to its name, decks to its name. We got Elish Norn Mother Machines, a 4/7 Phyrexian Predator Vigilance that costs 4 and a white. A permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability a permanent you control to trigger. That ability triggers additional time. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities of permanents your opponent's control to trigger. So this one, this one was pointed out by one of the members of the rules committee right away to be, I mean, I think they said, I don't know if it was problematic, but more so like Wizards shouldn't have ever made this kind of a card. And I don't know if that's exactly true, but yeah, this is a very, very potent commander. It's a very potent card in the 99 as well, but yeah, this is just, hey, I double up all my ETBs, and you all don't get any ETBs. And there are plenty of decks out there that love ETBs, and also some that depend on ETBs, whether it's from their own commander or, you know, if they've got a blink deck, essentially, this just shuts down an entire kind of strategy in and of its own just by having that second line of text. This is basically like Panharmonicon Plus at the top, again, counting not just artifacts and creatures, but everything else. And then also, hey, Torpor Orb just for your opponents at the bottom. So kind of the best of both worlds there. Now, it is limited amount of white, but still, again, a very, very, very potent commander. I mean, just think of like this plus Sun Titan with an ETB getting 2 things out of your graveyard, or, you know, even just Solemn Simulacrum, you know, basically now a Explosive Vegetation plus, you know, the Death Trigger as well. Plus, again, this just saying, hey, your opponents, if you get any ETBs, we're just shutting those down as well. So yeah, interesting again that a mono white commander is making it all the way up here. But again, 4,060 decks to its name from this year. This is, I will say again, with these numbers, it's kind of interesting to look at them because, yeah, I mean, the ones from further back obviously have more opportunity to get more decks. This one is from Phyrexia All Be One a long time ago, toward the very beginning of the year. That being said, there are some from newer sets that have also skyrocketed past. So let's move on now to, well, number 9 to see where we're at. So coming at 9th place with 4,305 decks to its name, or should I say their name, we've got Frodo Adventurous Hobbit and Sam Loyal Attendant, a partner commander. Yeah, that's right. We've got the partner of Sam and Frodo from Lord of the Rings making a big splash. Let's go to Sam first since I'm just on Sam right now. 2/4 Halfling Peasant for 1 green white. Partner with Frodo, obviously. At the beginning of combat, your turn, create a food token. Here you go, Frodo. I made you some food. Activate abilities food you control. Cost 1 to activate. So yeah, now just instead of paying 2 to tap and sacrifice, you pay 1 to tap and sacrifice to gain 3 life. Then we've got Frodo Adventurous Hobbit, a 1/3 Halfling Scout for white-black. Partner with Sam, Vigilance. Whenever it attacks, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, the ring tempts you. Then if Frodo is your ring bearer and the ring has tempted you 2 or more times, this game, draw a card. So an interesting kind of, you know, pairing with these two. You've got, well, Sam who's like, here, have some food, and I can cheaply make you, you know, you gain some life. And then Frodo's like, oh, cool, you gain some life. Cool, the ring tempts. If the ring keeps tempting, I get to draw cards. So yeah, being able to really play with, well, life gain synergies in there, with card draw synergies in there as well. And also making Frodo your ring bearer, that's just, you know, very flavorful, I would say. So yeah, it's interesting to see Frodo and Sam make a big splash already. Again, Lord of the Rings just came out not too long ago. I mean, a couple months ago at this point, but still, compared to some of the other sets, it's a lot newer. And again, this one already has 4,305 decks. So again, congratulations, Frodo and Sam, for making the top 10 at number 9. Let's move on, though, to number 8. At 4,978 decks to its name, we've got Aragorn the Uniter. Yeah, this one I'm not surprised to see in the top 10, even though, again, Lord of the Rings just happened. A 5/5 human noble for every color but black, right? We got red, green, white, blue, so a 4-color commander. Whenever you cast a white spell, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, 3 damage target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. So much going on with this, essentially. It's just like, yeah, we don't see 4-color commanders very often, if ever, because I believe Wizards says that actually it's the toughest design space for commanders, because you're kind of just like, okay, what do all these colors do without this other color? And it just kind of becomes very tough for them to kind of design around that, versus 5 colors, obviously all the things. And then with 3 colors, it's a lot easier to play with. That being said, still, yeah, this is just an absurd amount of value. You play like a multicolored tribal deck essentially with this, and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm casting a spell, it's 3 colors. I get 3 extra benefits out of it. There's absurd things that you can do with this. I mean, like, my favorite card with this commander is Elgith. I think it's Elgith, that Sphinx that's like, hey, instead of scrying, you get to draw. So instead of just scrying, now it's like, oh, you cast a blue spell, draw 2. There's some crazy good things that you can do with this one. A lot of really cool things that you can do with this one. And yeah, again, we don't see 4-color commanders very often at all. And when we do, they tend to be quite popular because, yeah, it's just a design space that Wizards really doesn't work with too often. So, yeah, Aragorn, again, very powerful, very potent, very fun commander that can do a lot of things in a lot of different directions you can take it. And then also, again, a unique commander, a rare commander, since we don't see, you know, a 4-color commander very often. So there you go. 4,978 decks to its name. Aragorn, congratulations on your 8th place finish. Moving on. Got Tom Bombadil, yet another Lord of the Rings commander making a big splash already. This one we kind of got an early preview of essentially before that the set even came out. I mean, even before spoiler season, it was like, yeah, that's going to be popular. A 4/4 God Bard, because that's the thing for Wooburg. As long as there are 4 or more lower counters among sagas you control, Tom Bombadil is hexproof and indestructible. So, hexproof and indestructible, when it has that combination, it can be nearly impossible to deal with. Now, there are certain ways to deal with it, right? Like edict effects, sacrifice effects can make you deal with it. You can have, like, you know, mass removal. That's like, okay, mass bounce essentially could deal with it. That doesn't target. You could have something that brings to the bottom of the library as well. Those kinds of things. But again, few and far between compared to just a target removal spell or just a Wrath of God effect. Those will not work on it. As long as you've got 4 more lore counters on sagas, which is not hard to get, especially with this next ability. Whenever the final chapter ability of a saga you control resolves, reveal cards on the top of your library to a saga card. Put that card on the bottom of your library and the rest, put the battlefield in the rest of your library in a rate of order. This ability triggers only once each turn. So technically, I mean, if you get 1 trigger per each turn, that can be 4 new sagas in play. Of course, there's plenty of ways to manipulate counters, ways to get them on, ways to get them off, essentially, and ways to just get your sagas back out of the graveyard to back into play. So the amount of value of this one is pretty absurd. It's kind of the first commander that we've ever really seen that's like saga specific, that is, I should say, saga specific in 5 colors. I think we had that Selesnya one back in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, but again, that was specific to that. This is like, no, hey, you get all the sagas, and I give you an absurd ability. Also, when I'm really, really hard to deal with. So yeah, this is a crazy, crazy cool commander. Again, one that is already seeing a ton of play. 7th place finish at 5,050 decks to its name. Tom Bombadil, congratulations on that finish. Now let's move on though to 6th place. We've got one that is at 5,473 decks to its name. From March the Machine, we've got Thalia and the Gitrog Monster. A really cool team up, one that I did not expect to see Thalia riding around on the Gitrog Monster, but I'm sure the opponents didn't either. Yeah, the Phyrexians did not expect that either, which was very surprising. 4/4, first strike with Death Touch that costs 1 white, black, green. We pledge to land on each of your turns. Magic players love lands. They love getting more lands into play. I mean, I should say Magic players like green, like getting extra lands into play. So yeah, being able to play extra lands is amazing, especially, yeah, with the rest of this. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. So again, kind of like that Elish Norn, hey, now we have a downside for our opponents. We are slowing you down, that Thalia type side of this card, essentially. We are slowing them down. On top of that, whenever this attacks, sacrifice a creature or land, then draw a card. Now, normally, again, you'd be like, oh, I don't want to send my commander into combat and, you know, I have to protect it. I've got to find other ways to protect it. Well, Thalia and the Gitrog Monster kind of protect themselves. Again, with that first strike and Death Touch, nearly impossible to stop in combat unless the opponent blocks with enough creatures or has a creature that has first strike or indestructible or whatnot. And first strike and Death Touch basically means that, hey, okay, I've got 4 points of damage I can assign. If you block with 4 creatures, that's 1 point for each one. I will take them out all before they even touch my commander. So this can be really hard to deal with. It can be a great blocker, great attacker, obviously. You can sacrifice a creature or a land, you know, for maybe a aristocrat style strategy if you want, or you have those lands. If you got ways to play on your graveyard, cool. You've got that effect as well. But yeah, being able to play extra lands on your turns, that's already cool because, yeah, you get to make up for those lands that are being sacrificed. Yeah, this is a really, really good commander in Abzan, and one that obviously, again, does a lot of different things for a lot of different players. You can take it aristocrats, you can take, you know, just landfall, you can take it in a lot of different directions. You can take this into like lure as well, you know, essentially like, okay, I'll force my opponent's creatures to block, I'll pump this commander, and all of a sudden it's a board wipe on a body swinging at an opponent. I'm like, oh, all your creatures have to block it, and I take them all out. So there you go. Yeah, a lot of potential with this one. Again, congratulations on your 6th place finish, Thalia and the Gitrog Monster. Moving on, another one that made a big splash from Mom, but from the Commander Precons at 5,524 decks, Sidar Jabari of Zalfir. Yeah, Sidar Jabari is back, and yeah, making Knight Tribal really a thing. A 4/3 human knight for 1 white, blue, black. Eminence. Oh, I can't believe Wizards went back to Eminence. I am a player who does not like Eminence, and different story for a different day, I guess. Whenever you attack with one or more Knights, if Sidar Jabari is in the command zone or on the battlefield, draw a card, discard a card. Flying first strike. Whenever deals combination of player, return target Knight creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this one, again, Eminence is just an extra free effect that you get, essentially. Just, hey, even if your commander, you haven't played your commander at all, you just start off basically kind of like with a ley line in play, which your opponents can't interact with, that says, hey, I get an extra benefit just for doing this. Now, is this one as powerful as some of the other Eminence effects that we've seen in the past? No, it is not, but it's still very, very powerful. Again, basically, hey, I get to just loot, essentially. Every single time I'm going to combat, swing with at least one Knight, I'm going to be looting. And when I do loot, I can put a very powerful Knight in my graveyard, and if my commander is in play, and I swing and I hit someone, and it's usually going to get through because of that flying, and the first strike hits right away, which is nice, I get a Knight out of my graveyard in play. So obviously you can play around with that. You know, you can tutor out, you can entomb certain Knights in your graveyard, so you can just set yourself up to basically reanimate them. You also can give your commander double strike to get 2 Knights out of your graveyard, essentially. A lot of different interesting things that you can do to play around with this. You can sacrifice Knights that might have a really good ETB. Keep getting that again and again and again. Yeah, this commander's got a lot of potential. Again, players are really loving that, you know, Knight Tribal is becoming a real thing. I mean, it kind of has been in the past a little bit, but this is really kind of solidifying it and saying, yeah, here's a very powerful commander, again, with an Eminence effect that can do some pretty absurd things. Knight Tribal is here to stay, essentially. So again, congratulations on your... what did I say? 6th place finish, 5th place finish? I'm losing track right now. It's pretty crazy. 5,524 next to your name, Sidar Jabari. Congratulations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th place. There we go. Now let's move on to 6th place, though. We've got a commander that is a real heavy hitter at 5,718 decks to its name, Sauron the Dark Lord. There's a lot of Saurons. This is the one that really stood out. 7/6 Avatar that costs 3 blue, black, red. Ward, sacrifice a legendary artifact or legendary creature. That is a massive, massive, massive undertaking for that opponent to have to dedicate to that, to actually even try to deal with this commander. So this might as well be hexproof in many circumstances, because if that opponent's like, okay, I guess I only have a legendary creature that's my commander, I have to determine if I want to sacrifice my commander to even target your commander. So when they do that too, if you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'll counter that spell, then they just lost their commander and also the removal spell, and you just had to counter it, essentially. So yeah, it's a big commitment. On top of that, whenever opponent casts a spell, amass Orcs 1. Whenever an army you control deals combination to a player, the ring tempts you. Whenever the ring tempts you, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 4 cards. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of different directions that you can take this commander. One way to take it, which is the way that I took it, is essentially really take advantage of your opponents just casting spells. Essentially, any single time they cast a spell, you amass Orcs 1. Now, the kind of downside to amassing is that it's not as good as it could be if they had changed the way the mechanic works. The way they do it essentially is, right, you're building up, essentially. All right, you have an army, right? All you do is you keep adding counters to it to make it bigger. Typically, again, when you're making tokens, you'd rather go wide. But there is kind of a way around that in a way where if an opponent casts a spell and you have an Orc army in play, you're like, okay, I'll sacrifice that Orc army, maybe with, like a Goblin Bombardment to ping someone in the face. Maybe, again, have other Aristocrat style, cards in play like Zulport Cutthroats to drain my opponents. And all of a sudden, oh, I don't have an army anymore. Cool, I get an army now instead of it just going, slightly larger. So essentially, you can go like Aristocrats, sacrifice effects to ensure that you just stay on top of having an army that is a 1/1 the entire time, essentially. Or you can actually really take advantage of, again, when an army you control does combination player, the ring tempts you, or just when the ring tempts you in general, wheeling, essentially, right? Discarding your hand, drawing 4 cards. If you've got something like Teferi's Aegis Insight or Thought Reflection in play, cool, double that up, draw twice as many cards. Now, all of a sudden, hey, every single time the ring tempts you, you can just draw 8. I mean, even if you're just drawing 4, right? There's ways to take advantage of discarding. There's ways to take advantage of drawing. There's plenty of ways to win in that way as well. So yeah, this commander, again, can be taken in a lot of different ways. It's hard to deal with. It's a heavy hitter, again. This is a commander that's also has 7 power. So yeah, if you give it like, double strike or just a little bit of pump, it can be a one-shot KO as well. So yeah, lots of different avenues for this commander. Not surprised to see it up here. Again, congratulations, Sauron the Dark Lord. For 4th place, you are a very scary commander. Moving on, though, let's move on to 3rd place with a one that is 5,808 decks to its name. Again, not surprising to see the big, mean jelly bean up here. That's right, Omnath Locust of All, now big, mean, and evil jelly bean. It's a Phyrexian now, 4/4 Phyrexian Elemental for basically Wooburg, but like Wooburg, but the black mana is actually Phyrexian black mana, so you can actually just pay 4 mana for this commander in 2 life. A 4/4, if you lose unspent mana, mana becomes black instead. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols and its mana cost. If you do, add 3 mana in combination of its colors and put that card in your hand. If you don't reveal, put in your hand. This commander does a lot for you. First of all, you got access to all the colors. Lovely. Also, hey, if you're just, not using your mana, you just get it back as black mana instead. So it's kind of like a mana vault, a mana bank, kind of like, crew fix-ish. But again, instead of it becoming colorless, now it just becomes black. So you can just utilize it again for black spells as well. On top of that, again, hey, look at the top card of your library. And you know what? If you don't want to reveal it, you don't have to. You just get it. It's extra just card draw for free. Essentially, not even card draw, but just card advantage. And then, hey, if you want to reveal it and it has, 3 colored mana symbols, not 3 different ones, just 3 colored mana symbols in it. Like in Blue Sun Zenith, works for this as well. Blue, 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 that works for this. Cool. Just get free 3 mana, essentially. So this ramps you. This gives you card advantage. This also just gives you, mana advantage throughout the game if you can protect it, but it's keeping it around. It's a very absurd commander. And again, yet another one that's like, hey, the way that I would build around it, of course, is with an amazing 3, color spell with Fill Wealth. That's how to build around it. So yeah, just a mana bank that you can just store up all that mana. Yeah, players love mana. Players love card advantage. This is both of you. And again, it is a 5-color commander. So there you go. Moving on, let's move on to number 2, though, at 5,877 decks to its name. We've got yet another 4-color commander with Atraxa Grand Unifier again. We don't see 4-color commanders very often. Atraxa was a 4-color commander to start. Now it still is one. A 7/7 Phyrexian Angel with Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink for 3 green, white, blue, black. So 7 mana in total. When it enters the battlefield, reveal cards to the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the reveal cards to your hand. The rest of the bottom of your library in random order. This one's actually really interesting because, again, this one actually revealed that battles were going to be a thing because this, mentioned artifact, battle, creature, all those. But yeah, knowing that battle's a thing now, you can basically get artifact, battle, creature, enchantment, instant land, planeswalker, sorcery. That's 8. So yeah, you can basically get 8 cards off the top of your library in your hand just by having this come into play. And again, this does not have a cast trigger requirement. It's just, hey, when it enters the battlefield. So any blink effect, you have a simple ephemerate, right? 1 mana, blink a creature, and also you get to recast the next turn. So yeah, 1 mana, blink a creature, cool. Oh, I'll get the top, no, okay, cool. Out of the top 10, oh, cool, I got these 8. I mean, are you always gonna hit 8? Absolutely not. Can you hit like 5+ pretty easily? Yeah. So yeah, being able to get just an absurd amount of card advantage just for blinking this, crazy, or cloning it, or just a lot of other things to just use and abuse that ETB. That is absurd. And it's also, again, an incredibly heavy hitter. 7 Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. A way to, just make this into a one-shot KO. Very simple, very effective. I mean, double strike, say a little bit of pump. It's going to be able to get through on players. Also, again, just, yeah, that Death Touch. If you get any kind of a trample as well, it's going to be able to just get through. And again, with that Death Touch, if you give it double strike, give it first strike. It's going to be really hard to deal with in combat. It's already going to be hard to deal with because you have all those blink effects probably to make sure that it doesn't get taken out. So yeah, Atraxa, an incredibly heavy hitter. Not surprised to see it all the way up here. Yeah, congratulations to Atraxa on your second place finish. That being said, you did not make first place because in first place at 6,450 decks to its name, we've got the little mirror that could. That's right, Urtet Remnant of Memnarch. You are first place so far this year. A 2/2 legendary artifact creature mirror for 3 mana. Whenever you cast a mirror spell, you get a 1/1 mirror. At the beginning of combat, your turn, untap each mirror you control, pay Wooburg tap, put 3 counters on each mirror control activation during your turn. This is just a really fun 5-color commander. This is one that's like, hey, Mir have been wanting a tribal commander for such a long time. Now you might say, well, I mean, yeah, they've had other commanders that could be a Mir tribal commander. Sure, like Morophon is just always the one that's like, yeah, Morophon could be the tribal commander, but no, not really, right? I mean, needed a dedicated one. I think I did an episode a long time ago where actually I talked about, if I was going to make a dedicated Mir tribal commander, what it would be. And I loved my design, actually. And there was some things from my design that actually are in this kind of a little bit. But this one, hey, again, 5-color commander gives you access to all those Mir. And now you can say, you know what? Mir and I guess Changelings too, right? Changelings are also Mir. You can take advantage of those as well. Or, Mask with Nexus, you go in that direction as well. Regardless, being able to untap all your mirror, any of those tap effects that your mirror do have, you can really utilize. Again, there's plenty of mirrors out there that tap for mana as well. And also, just making your tiniest mirrors out there into just giant mirror is just hilarious. Again, with this, let's say you have 10 mana, 2 mana of each color. Even just on your turn with this, you're like, okay, yeah, I mean, I've got my army of tiny little 1/1 mirrors. All right, I pay 5 mana, I tap, I get 3 counters on this. I untap my mirror during combat. Cool, I do this again. Now I have 7/7 mirror from all those tiny little ones, and all it took was 2 activations of this. So yeah, this commander has a lot of potential. It's a lot of fun, and players, again, have been waiting so long for a Mir tribal commander. There you go. You got one. So yeah, Mir, Shapeshifters, whatever you are, Changelings, I should say. Urtet, you are just the home of those, and congratulations on your first place finish so far this year. We'll see if you can hold on to that first place spot, but yeah. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on these commanders. Do you have any of these commanders? Have you been enjoying these commanders? Are there any commanders that are just outside the top 10 that you're like, they should be more popular than they are? Are there anything you've seen so far from Wilds of Eldraine that you're like, they're going to be up there. They're going to be some of the most popular commanders from this year. So yeah, we shall see which of these commanders, you know, stay in the top 10, which get kicked out of the top 10. So yeah, we shall see. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.